Whoever made Mother Nature mad in Australia, please stop. Let's recap the Australian Grand Prix. Hello and welcome back to Track Limits. I'm John, the motorsport enthusiast, and wow, do we have a recap to go over today in the wild Australian GP. If you're new to Formula One or just a casual fan, don't worry, I got you covered with all the biggest moments and everything that you need to know about the race. The season opener in Melbourne was anything but a gentle warm-up. We had mixed weather messing with teams' heads, surprise performances, multiple crashes, and Lando actually doing well on restart? Yeah, you heard that right. Let's get into the highlights. Rookie Isaac Hadjar lost control of his car on the formation lap, wasn't even racing yet, and completely destroyed the back of his car. A tough break for one of the most promising rookies on the grid. And if you like safety cars, well, Australia had plenty. The first came out on lap 1 when Alpine's rookie Jack Doohan lost control in turn 5. He said it was between a shift and smashed into the barrier. Ouch, not the home debut that Doohan won. But wait, it gets crazy. While the safety car was out, Carlos Sainz, now on a Williams, managed to wreck under a safety car. He reported a massive power surge, which made him lose control, completely destroying the rear end of the car. Gotta hand it to Carlos. He found a new way to DNF early. Maybe the Williams was just too excited to be running near the top 10? Nah, I'm kidding. All jokes aside, it sucks for Sainz, hate it for him. Let's see if he can bounce back next week in China. Lando Norris took pole position and converted it into a hard-fought victory. In a race with sporadic rain showers, safety cars, crashes, and spins, Lando kept his composure and got the first win of the 2025 season. And beat Max Verstappen in his prime and one of the best drivers in the wet in Formula One. It wasn't easy though. At one point, a late downpour had Norris and Piastri doing synchronized lawn mowing in the penultimate corner. But Lando managed to gather it up, pit at the right time, and seize back the first place position to get that win. Norris won by just under a second in Australia with a charging Max Verstappen. Speaking of Max Verstappen, finishing second might sound normal, but trust me, nothing about Max's race was normal at all. The reigning world champion found himself chasing Lando Norris at the closing laps in the Australian GP, where typically he's out front by 10, 15, 20 seconds. A bit of a role reversal in the Verstappen universe. Max inherited the lead for just a small portion of time as both McLarens did a very poor rain dance, but staying out one lap too long on slicks in a monsoon is like trying to kayak in a hurricane. Verstappen had to pit late for wet tires, handing Norris the lead. He did come charging after Lando once more, getting within DRS range in a dramatic final sprint. But even Mad Max himself had nothing for that McLaren. This race was a homecoming for Oscar Piastri, and the Melbourne crowd was absolutely thrilled when he got P2 in qualifying. Oscar settled behind Norris at the start, but not without drama. Q turn 1 and turn 2 chaos. Verstappen had a strong start and positioned himself between both McLarens after turn 2. Still, Piastri was not going to give it up. As the track started to dry mid-race, he cranked out some of the fastest laps and actually got within DRS range of his teammate Norris. But McLaren told him to hold position, basically saying, cool your jets, mate. But then Mother Nature was like, nope, that's not happening, and unleashed another rain shower. In the ensuing chaos, Piastri spun in the penultimate corner when his teammate Lando Norris did go through the grass but kept on going. Oscar's beautiful home race podium just completely got washed away. He eventually recovered to finish in 9th after a race that was literally a roller coaster. Two-time champion Fernando Alonso reminded us all that the wet weather conditions can sometimes get the best of even the best. On lap 34, Alonso's Aston Martin absolutely said, I've had enough staying on track, crashing heavily into turn 6, bringing out yet another safety car. What this did was open up the strategy gods to figure out if you should go on slicks or stay on intermediates because there was more rain to come. And just like that, when everybody thought it was going to be smooth sailing to the finish, Melbourne weather said, hold that thought. A surprise late race shower turned the last laps into a nail-biter. The final rain caused Kick Sauber's rookie Gabriel Bortoleto to slide off in turn 13 and Red Bull's Liam Lawson to bin it in turn 2. Yes, 2 more crashes, 2 more drivers out of the race. As if we didn't have enough cars already retired. That brought out a final safety car, setting up for a slippery shootout to the end. On the restart, Norris versus Verstappen is the showdown that we've all wanted. Lando just trying to hang on for dear life, and Max absolutely smelling blood in the water. Quite literally water at this point. And with all the madness going on up front, where's George Russell? He quietly said, thank you very much, and finished in P3. George had a pretty drama-free race, by this race standards anyway, and kept it on the black stuff while everybody else was pirouetting in the grass. Now let's talk about some of the standout performances in the Australian Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli, the the rookie sensation for Mercedes. Perhaps the drive of the day definitely was from Kimi, the 18-year-old rookie who, if you don't know already, is going to be making waves in Formula 1 before you know it. It already has with a P4 finish. He started all the way down in 16th, and through some masterful passing on the outside of corners in the wet, he finishes the highest among rookies and in P4, in the points, in the top 5. What a run. There was a brief scare when he got hit with a 5-second penalty that would have demoted him down to P5, but in a rare case of F1 justice, they actually found evidence that didn't have anything against him, so he was now promoted back up to P4. And the driver right behind him is somebody that we also need to talk about, Alex Albon. He finished P5 in a Williams. Now, it was in the rain, but P5 in a Williams. No, not a typo, and yes, you may need to check what year it is. Williams has been the underdog for ages, but Albon took advantage of the chaos and of the rain. One of the biggest talking points was actually the decision that Carlos Sainz had on the strategy, telling the team that Alex Albon needs to change to a specific kind of tire, and when they did that, look at what happened. It resulted in the P5 finish. Carlos Sainz already doing wonders for Williams. And while we're here, let's talk about the driver in 6th, Lance Stroll. It's not the first time that we've seen him up near the front. Think about Turkey in 2020 in the wet conditions where he got the pole. He can do pretty well in the wet. And right behind him is Nico Hülkenberg and a Kick Sauber, who scored more points than both Ferraris, which is just wild to say. It doesn't make much sense. It makes me want to just throw my hat against the wall. Now moving on to the drivers who finished in 8th and 10th. That is Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Not the run that Lewis Hamilton wanted in his debut race with Ferrari, with a questionable strategy call on the back end, leaving him and Leclerc out on slicks. They went in too late and ended up going to the back of the field when everybody else had already pit for inners. Charles had probably the best radio communication of the weekend, saying, quote, "Is there a leakage? My seat is full of water." To which his engineer replied, "Must be the water." And then Leclerc quipped back and said, "Let's add that to the words of wisdom." No Sherlock. Others quickly to tip a hat to: Pierre Gasly in P11 and Yuki Tsunoda P12. Now, obviously, both of them had their quotes throughout the day, but both ended up right outside the points. So your final point scores for this weekend's race in Melbourne, the Australian GP: Lando Norris in 1st, Max Verstappen in 2nd, George Russell in 3rd, Kimi Antonelli in 4th, Alex Albon in 5th, Lance Stroll in 6th, Nico Hülkenberg in 7th, Charles Leclerc in 8th, Oscar Piastri in 9th, and Lewis Hamilton rounds out the top 10. And after a race like that, you would think everybody would be absolutely frazzled and absolutely done. But no, each week I highlight the happiest person in Formula 1 with the Happiest of Them All award, brought to you by Happy Hour Racing. And this week's Happy Hour Racing happiest of them all, I'm going to tip my hat to Kimi Antonelli. I think he deserves it. Now, why is he the happiest in the paddock? Let me tell you why. 1, he finished 4th in the wet in his debut race in Formula 1. Not bad for an 18-year-old. Number 2, he wheeled to wheeled with other drivers and won like an absolute pro. He overtook seasoned veterans in the wet, specifically Alex Albon. And not only did it once, but did it twice after spinning. 3rd, Toto Wolff, very impressed. I think that classifies as the happiest of them all for sure. And if you're looking for any Formula 1 gear, make sure to check out Happy Hour Racing. They have some of the coolest gear on the market, new, old. Got this shirt from them. This is a Brazilian GP shirt for Ferrari. Such a cool partner with us. Make sure to go check them out at the link in the description. What a way to start 2025, right? If every race is just half as epic as the Australian GP, then we're in for a ride. McLaren's on top. Red Bull's actually beatable in the rain. And rookies are shaking things up, either in the wall or in P4 like Kimi. And we have teams like Kick Sauber and Racing Bulls to get used to. Now don't worry, it won't last long. JK, who really knows at this point? We'll have fun with those all year long. Before I go, don't miss my Chinese Grand Prix race preview coming this Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Central Time. I'll be back to give you the complete rundown of the Shanghai International Circuit, what to watch for in this weekend's upcoming race, and whether Lando Norris will actually keep this championship lead. In breaking news, literally as I am recording this, there will be stricter rear wing deflection tests introduced for the Chinese GP. They are changing the actual gap in the rear wing. The slot gap in the rear wing may not be more than 0.5 millimeters, changing it from 2 millimeters to 0.5. So pretty big change there. With that, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Track Limits. And if you did, smash that like button, because I'm legally obligated to say that as a part of the A2IO media team, or I will be fined. And I would love for you to subscribe for more Track Limit episodes and other content we have going here on A2IO Media. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to keep your racing lines tight and your humor dry, unlike the weather in Melbourne. And as always, this is John, the motorsports enthusiast, signing off.